Let me tell you about the worst kind of surprise in business, the one that is not actually a surprise at all. A customer you thought was happy sends the email. We have decided to go in a different direction. Or they just do not renew. Or they stop answering, and you are blindsided. You did good work for them. You did not see it coming. And you spend the next week asking your team, what happened? Where did this come from? Here is the hard truth I want to give you today. It did not come from nowhere. That customer decided to leave a long time ago. Weeks, sometimes months before they ever told you. The cancellation was not the decision. The cancellation was the paperwork on a decision that was already made. You just did not have any way to see it happening. Because here's what most owners get wrong about retention. They think it is a number you measure at the end, at the renewal, at the invoice. But by the time you get to the renewal, you are not measuring anything. You are reading a recording of a choice the customer made back when you were not looking. Retention is not decided at the finish line. It is decided in 100 small moments along the way, and almost nobody is watching those moments. So today I want to give you 3 moves to see churn coming while you can still do something about it. To catch the customer while they are drifting, not after they are gone. Let us get into it. Move 1. Stop measuring retention at the renewal. Measure it at every touch point. Think about how most businesses track whether a customer is happy. They look at whether they renewed. That is it. That is a light that turns on only after the person has already walked out the door. It tells you what happened. It cannot tell you what is about to. The shift is to take a reading of the relationship at every meaningful contact, all along the journey, not just at the end. Every time you deliver something, every check-in, every support ticket, every invoice, every silence where there should have been a reply. Each of those is a chance to ask one quiet question. On a scale where 0 is a customer who is definitely leaving and 10 is a customer who would follow you anywhere, where is this person right now? And here is the key. That number has to mean the same thing every time. A 6 in January has to mean the same thing as a 6 in June, or it is just a feeling with a number taped to it. Let me give you a real example. A marketing agency I worked with kept losing clients at around the 6-month mark, and they could never figure out why. Because at month 5, everything looked fine. The client was still paying. So we started scoring the relationship at every single touch point. Response times, tone of the emails, whether the client showed up to the monthly call or sent an assistant, and a pattern jumped out immediately. The drop did not happen at month 6. It started at month 3, quietly. The emails got shorter. The client stopped asking questions. By month 6, they were not deciding to leave. They had already left in their head and were just waiting for a reason. The agency had the information all along. They just were not reading it until it was too late. Move 2. Act at half the time to churn, not at the renewal. Once you start watching, you will notice something. Customers do not fall off a cliff. They erode. Satisfaction leaks out in small drops over time, and it tends to cluster. There is usually a window, a specific stretch, where most of your churn actually gets decided. So your job is to find that window, and then move your entire save motion way up in front of it. Here is the rule of thumb. Find your typical time to churn, and then start your renewal and check-in motion at half of it, or even a quarter. If customers tend to leave around month 8, do not wait until month 7 to get serious about keeping them. Start at month 4, start at month 2. Because here is the thing that owners miss. By the time you get close to the renewal, you are not fixing a problem anymore. You are trying to reverse a conclusion. And reversing a conclusion is 10 times harder than preventing one. Early, you are adjusting an impression. Late, you are arguing with a decision. Those are completely different fights, and you want to always be having the first one. Think about it from the customer side. If the first time they really hear from you with energy and attention is 30 days before the contract is up, they know exactly what that is. That is not care. That is a save attempt, and they can smell it. But if you are present and adding value at month 2 when nothing is on the line, that is a relationship. The timing is the entire message. Move 3, and this is the one that makes the other 2 actually work. Build one escalation that fires on a number, not on a feeling. Here is where most good intentions die. You start scoring your relationships, you spot a customer slipping, and then nothing happens, because noticing is not the same as acting. Somebody sees the low score, thinks I should reach out to them, gets busy, and the moment passes. The customer keeps drifting. So you need a rule that takes the human hesitation out of it. Make it simple and make it automatic. Anything at or below a 5 triggers an escalation, and that escalation goes to a specific named person, not to a team, because a thing that belongs to everyone belongs to no one. That person has real authority to do something about it, and the escalation runs until the number comes back up, until that 5 becomes a 7, and then it stops. A trigger, an owner, and an off switch. That is the whole machine. Let me be clear about why the named owner matters so much. An alert that goes to the whole team is not an alert. It is a notification, and notifications pile up until somebody turns them off. But when a specific person owns the outcome of that account, when it is their job to move that number, the customer actually gets a call, not a mass email, a real human reaching out at the moment it still matters. That is the difference between a scoreboard that just watches your customers leave and a system that actually goes and gets them back. So let me bring this together, because I do not want this to be a nice idea you nod at and forget. Here is your homework for the week, and it is one customer, just one. Think of a client you lost in the last year that felt like it came out of nowhere. Now go back and walk the timeline. Look at the emails, the calls, the response times, the little moments, and find the exact spot where they actually started to leave. I promise you it was not the day they told you. It was months earlier, and there were signs. Once you can see where the erosion started on the one you already lost, you will start seeing it in real time on the ones you still have. Because here is the real difference. A business that measures retention at the renewal is always reacting to news. A business that reads the relationship the whole way through is shaping the outcome while it can still be shaped. Same customers, same work. One of them is constantly surprised, and the other one is never surprised because it was paying attention when it counted. And the only variable is whether you decided to watch the middle, not just the end. So this week, stop waiting for the cancellation to tell you something you could have known months ago. Read the relationship. Move early. Build the one escalation that actually fires. Go catch them while they are still drifting before the decision is made. Now, if you want the tools to actually do this, the simple relationship scorecard, the escalation templates, the framework for spotting churn before it happens, that is all waiting for you inside the Small Business MBA. It is genuinely free. No card, no trial, no catch. Everything you need to stop being surprised by the customers you could have kept. And if you are someone who runs operations for a living, if building the systems that catch a problem before it becomes a loss is your craft, then I want to point you somewhere else too. We are building the National Board of Operations Professionals, the first real standard and credential for operators, and we are building it in the open with the people who actually do the work. If that is you, come get involved. But whatever you do this week, stop reading the ending and calling it a measurement. Watch the middle. That is where your customers are quietly deciding whether to stay. Be there while it still counts. I will see you in the next one.